Hey everybody, it's Eric and Will from the Mature Minded Gamers. We are bringing you our video game slash board game podcast.
What's going on, everyone?
Will, you're going to be covering the board games. I'm going to be hitting up the video games. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to get started?
So, something that I am pretty intrigued by is Fantasy Flight recently announced, well, I guess at Gen Con they kind of did a sneak for it, but they have talked about a game for Descent Legends of the Dark. Now, I am very, very excited about this. One of the first dungeon crawl board games that I ever played was with Descent Journeys into the Dark, second edition. And I love that game. I have collected almost everything for it. It's kind of hard to get some of the bigger boxes now, kind of out of print and stuff. And I hope they really bring those back. But this is going to be not a third edition of Descent, but more of a standalone type thing. And this one is a fully integrated out of the box with an app. What do you think of app games?
I'm a big fan of app games. They usually bring a lot of convenience to a board game and less micromanagement, and less, doing calculations yourself, which I'm a big fan of.
Oh, absolutely. And this really kind of lends itself to the fact that if, I don't have a gaming group that I can necessarily get together with all the time to continue to play like a campaign and I could sit down and play this by myself with the app and it's like I'm playing like at my own little D&D session and I like that. And I liked to play the journeys into the dark on the app. I got a projector up, set it behind me so I could just turn around, set up my board game, my game up, and then have the projector going and play the game. But the one thing I didn't like so much is all the management that I still had to do, and it felt like it was just more added on. And they've really kind of built this from the ground up as far as like to be integrated with the app. Now, one of the things I'm kind of worried about though is they haven't really shown too much of how the app is going to work, the layout and the design. But if they've learned some stuff from Descent, Imperial Assault, and I really hope that they just knock this out of the park. For the price tag of $175, this game looks absolutely ridiculously beautiful. Um, I hear a lot of people talking about how the art doesn't look that great, and they're not a fan of like the character sheets, and it kind of looks like it's a kid's drawing of these characters, but I for one don't mind it at all. I think it's fun. I think it's different enough that it's kind of like its own standalone thing, and I'm not like feeling like I'm seeing the same art in the world of Tyrannoth. I love the fact that you've got 3D terrain. So when you set up a dungeon, it's not just a flat board you're putting your stuff on, but you've got walls, you've got stairs, you've got trees and barricades. And I think that's awesome. I think that's so awesome. Um, I am worried though the fact that I want to say I want to play this 15 years from now because it's on my shelf and I still own the game. What if the app isn't supported? There is absolutely no way to play this without the app, and that does concern me a little bit though. Have you looked at the models for this at all?
I have not.
Oh man, you really need to. I'm super stoked for this. I am a little concerned at the $175 price range. The box is absolutely huge. They are not going to Kickstarter with this, which I think is brilliant. And the reason why I think so is these big established companies do not need to be using Kickstarter to get their projects going. They already have the assets and the ability to do it, like release the game. And it bothers me like these big companies like Cool Mini or Not continuously use Kickstarter to fund their games and just kind of like forgoing the actual game store to sell these products because I just got that on Kickstarter, you know. And I'm liking the fact that Asmodee slash Fantasy Flight here are just releasing this as a thing you can get in the stores, and I like that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So we've been playing some Watch Dogs Legion, which is the newest one. It'd be the third one in the series. This is from Ubisoft. It came out last week. We did a hype train for it, and I've been really enjoying my time with it. It's more of a casual open world game where you can hack things, and I don't feel like I like have to keep playing. It's not one of those games where I'm just like constantly got to play. It's like, oh, I got some spare time. Let's log in and we'll just run around the city and maybe collect some goods or maybe run a quick mission or try to find a new recruit that I want to add to my crew. And I kind of like that aspect to it. I like the fighting, I like the hacking, and I like the fighting's not the main focus of this game. It's more stealth based. I normally don't like
Mhm.
stealth games, but I'm digging this one. I like that there's like machines to interact with and cars to drive and cars you can hack and move around and make little disruptions to pull the guards off and you can sneak by. Or I just recently started playing some of they have a bear fist league is what they call it, and
Mhm.
it's like a fighting arenas. Every district has one. You go around and you fight four fights, and it gets harder as you go, and you try to win the league championship. And your one of your missions is to win the whole championship. So go around to all the different districts and win it. And I've been having fun just doing that. The combat's not like complicated, but it's got just enough there where it's fun and engaging, but not like, oh my god, I gotta memorize this combination. You don't have to do anything like that. So I just really been having a good time in the world. It's very casual, and I'm super excited for the multiplayer, which is going to be added in December. I think that'll be a lot more fun, a lot
Mhm.
more engaging to bring you guys in the community in to play some heist or however they do it. I don't even know how they're going to have it set up. I don't know if we're just going to be all able to jump into one of our worlds and just start playing together, or what they have planned really.
Right. I do like how the controls feel, especially for driving. I was a little worried about that. And when I'm playing it, I'll be honest, I get a vibe of Grand Theft Auto, but with being able to hack stuff. What do you think?
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's exactly how I feel it is. I mean, you can run over people and you get heat, for breaking the law. I don't feel like
Mhm.
it's quite as bad in Watch Dogs as it is in Grand Theft Auto. The heat dissipates a lot faster. It seems to be easier to hide. And there's also different levels of difficulty you can play on, and
Right.
it's fine. Like I said, I like that this is a little more casual. I'm not like trying to drive my car under a bridge and then hoping the cops don't find me. It's a little more intense than Grand Theft Auto, which is fine. I loved Grand Theft Auto, but I kind of like that this one's a little more casual.
Right. I think that, going back to the controls, I feel like the controls were much better than Grand Theft Autos were. And I'm actually pretty excited because of that. I think that was some of the things that got me the most irritated was the you're trying to do something and the camera wasn't cooperating, or you're trying to get somewhere and you kept hopping over stuff, and I just felt like when I did something it was just so solid, the animations were smooth, and it just felt like I was totally in control the entire time. I never really had controller issues when I was in the heat of getting shot at, or I needed to hack this device quickly, and I was able to do that, but just a couple clicks on my keyboard.
Right. You can grab this game on the Uplay Plus, or it's called Uconnect now. It's $15 a month for the service, but not only can you play this, but you're going to be able to play the next game that I'll be talking about in the video game realm, which is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So now is a
Ooh.
great time to get in on this service because for $15 for a month, you get access to both these games. I mean, and even if you do play for 2 or 3 months, you're only $45 invested, and so it's still cheaper than buying either of the games straight out. Now,
Right.
I know some people like to buy the games and have them because they're going to play them at the later dates, but I find I never do that myself.
Right. I mean, we do tend to jump around to different games pretty quickly, so I've enjoyed having you play Plus.
Yeah, me too. So, do you want a board game or you want me to do another video game?
So another game that I am very excited for that's coming out. This one is actually from Steamforge Games. The Kickstarter should be launching on November 10th for all of you following along here. That is not that far away. So that's actually this coming Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. And I am very, very excited for this. Yet another dungeon crawl in the realm of games that I'm going to be talking about in this episode. This one, you are heroes. They haven't really talked too much about the specifics yet, but essentially, you are heroes that are going on these grand adventures and, completing these different events. And you are trying to make it where when the bards sing songs about your exploits, they sing your song. The models look amazing. Feel like they've learned a lot from God Tier and Guild Ball as far as like sculpting and especially how to print plastic minis. They've done a good job in the past with some board games, although I wasn't a fan of Dark Souls, which is an implementation of a video game. So the board game Steamforge Games did that, but Bandai Namco, that was who it was. So, but the models look absolutely great. The boards look beautiful. The fact that it looks like there's some 3D doors that they probably have as a Kickstarter exclusive, I'm sure, or something crazy. I've heard some stories. I've watched some videos on this, and one of the cool ones that really stood out is I was listening to some of the developers talk about the game and designers and stuff about how they started to have like a flood in one area, so they ran out of the area and they kept on fighting. Well, then a couple rounds later, all of a sudden the water was flowing into that room, and then again they had to make their way out, and it drowned some of the enemies, and then they found themselves on a high trying to get to higher ground before they ended up drowning. And I was like, man, that's cool. If something that happened, 5 rooms ago, the room is flooding, and it's not just stopping at that room, it's continuing to expand, and what you do in one room is going to affect how you do what happens in others, and how what you do in maybe one quest or dungeon is going to come back and change how other events happen later on in the game. And I can't wait to see how they're going to do that. I don't know what it is about dungeon crawls that I really love, and if this game, they've done an amazing job with the campaign, and if this game is half as good as what they're making it out to be, I think we're all in for a pleasant surprise. So if you haven't checked it out yet, hit up steamforge.com and check out Bard Sung.
Keep me on suspense there, Will. You didn't tell me the name of it until right at the very end. Bard's Song, is that what you said?
Bard Sung.
Sung, okay. That sounds like a very cool game.
Absolutely.
I'm anxious to check that one out. All right, so next up in the video game world, we're going to cross over to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We've played many Assassin's Creeds over the years. Black Flag is probably still my personal favorite. Odyssey was good too. But this one looks like it's going to be completely different. We get a much darker Assassin's Creed. There's village management system built into it, where you're going to send all the people that you help or rescue to and be able to interact with them. And I think it's going to be where it's almost like your main hub, where you're going to get your new missions and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Red Dead 2 camp that you had, that you go back and talk and interact with and do different things. I think that's kind of how Valhalla is going to handle this too, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't have my hands on it yet, but boy, I hope so. This one's going to be releasing here on November the 10th, and it's coming out for pretty much every system you could want it on. The old consoles, the new gen consoles, which are actually just releasing, I think, on the 10th, and Stadia, PC, think that's pretty much all of them. So pretty much you can play this game on any system you want. Will, have you looked at this game very much?
I watched a little bit of our hype train earlier today, and I think it looks really good. Actually, I'm pretty excited about this. Now, I know that one of the Assassin's Creed games, it has multiplayer elements, right? It has a two-player mode, I think.
Unity does.
Okay. So, have you heard anything about this one having multiplayer?
No, as far as I know, this one's just single player.
Gotcha. So, I'll be honest, those single player games anymore for me, if I'm gonna playing something solo, I'd rather just play a board game.
Uh,
I'd rather, if this had multiplayer, I'd be all about it. Like that's one of the reasons I've been trying out Watch Dogs, just so I can figure out what's going on, the controls, kind of like get some money, get some different gear and stuff. So that way, if I could take my character over to your realm or world, then maybe I could transfer my tune. But if this doesn't have multiplayer, I really don't know what the draw is for me. I like playing with you guys.
I'm the same way, and I've always struggled with single player games, but I still, if it's a really good story and it's really compelling gameplay, then I can still get myself immersed into it and want to play it. And I'm thinking Valhalla might do that for me. I mean, time will tell once I get my hands on it to see. And again, this is another plus of having Uplay Plus, or Uconnect now is what they rebranded as. Because if I don't like it, I mean, I'm only out my $15 for the 1 month. Plus, like I said, I'm already playing Watch Dogs, and not to mention the Divisions on there and a bunch of others. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by Ubisoft at all. I'm just a huge fan of the game services, and I'll be completely honest, the Ubisoft one is the most expensive, which kind of takes it down on a notch for me. I think it should really be $10 where the Microsoft one is. But I'm a big fan of all these online gaming services. I even have Stadia, which I don't need, but I love because it's got a few games that are exclusives. And I love not having to install, not having to load. That's my number one complaint about Watch Dogs Legions is the loading
Hmm.
time, which isn't terrible. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But going from Stadia to with no load to this, it you can feel the difference.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Don't forget to check out our Discord, everybody. We have a huge community of gamers that do board games, video games. We have D&D sessions. We'd love to have you join us, and you can do that directly from our website, which is maturemindedgamers.com. Will, bring us up with our next board game.
All right, so the next one I want to talk to everyone about is currently on Kickstarter right now. And actually has just a few days to go. Looks like about 10 days to go, which is going to be ending for everyone here. I think around the 5th, actually November 17th is the exact date. It's called Dire Alliance Horror. This one is from Blacklist Games. They do games such as Street Masters, Brook City, just some amazing games where you're gonna, you have these decks of different things that can happen, and like the enemies all have decks, characters have decks, and it's just such a breath of fresh air to have random game elements happen with how this company makes that stuff. They've got an upcoming Kickstarter that is supposed to be releasing to everyone as well here very soon, called Alter Quest, that is reminiscent of the old Hero Quest games that everyone has fond memories of. But anyway, this one is called Dire Alliance Horror. It is a horror themed board game. It's actually broken up into kind of like two different like pledge levels, if you will. One is going to be for just the actual game itself, which has two different game modes. It has a way to play where you can play like a tactical combat game or like a skirmish game where you're going to be fighting against each other, or you're going to be able to do this kind of like raid where you're going up against a big boss. And then they also have part of this Kickstarter is just some horror miniatures, which includes like the Wolfman and kind of like a Dracula and stuff like that. And I'm pretty excited for this. I love Blacklist miniatures. The Sadler brothers, I think, just do some amazing work. For those who don't know, Adam and Brady Sadler. I'm very excited for this, and you guys should definitely check it out. The models look gorgeous. The boards, the tokens, the everything just looks beautiful. So very excited. You don't really see too many horror themed games with this kind of motif, and one that I am very eagerly waiting to be able to get my hands on.
All right, next up we have a video game, and this one I think is going to be a sleeper hit. It is Godfall. And so this one is unique because it was falling in between a bunch of huge releases, and I think they kind of decided it wasn't even worth investing a lot in the advertising. The timing being in between Star Wars and Watch Dogs, and we had Cyberpunk 2077 supposedly out right now. It got pushed back, and now we got Assassin's Creed Valhalla pushing out a bunch of advertisements. They approached this maybe in a smart way of kind of being like a no, not really well publicized game. Showing some trailers here and putting it out. And I think I'm thinking it's going to be a really fun game. It's called Godfall. I think I said that earlier, but it's an action looter. The combat looks fantastic. The graphics look great. It's got multiplayer, Will.
Hmm.
So yeah. So definitely a game that you can bring your friends in. It kind of gives me a little bit of a mix of like maybe Monster Hunter and like Doom almost. Not Doom, sorry. Monster Hunter and
Destiny?
no, Diablo, sorry. It just looks really good. It is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Or sorry, it's a PlayStation exclusive for the consoles, but it is coming out on the PC.
Yeah, this one comes out next Thursday on the 12th of November. Was its release on for PlayStation 5 and Windows.
This is actually an Epic exclusive, I believe.
Ooh,
So I was thinking it was a Microsoft exclusive, but it's actually an Epic Store exclusive, which is great because I love Epic. Then if you've done anything with them, you probably still have a $10 coupon, so you can get $10 off this game just to straight out buy it. And like I said, I think this is going to be a really fun and like a sleeper hit. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, I'd never even heard of this game.
so I think we had talked about it a while back at one of the expos, but after that, I think it's kind of just gone to the wayside. And you had mentioned it to me, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks good. So The fact that it's coming out, really soon has got me even more jazzed up to try it out.
So I think they did a really smart thing there, and I'm super excited for this game. Again, it's called Godfall, and it's coming out on the 12th.
All right, so we've got something that's actually be coming out November 7th, or excuse me, 17th. So just a few more days, about just over just over a week. It is a new Dungeons and Dragons book. This one's called Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So what this is going to be going over is you're going to get new spells, expanded subclasses, more character options, more group patrons. You've got, like I said, spells, artifacts, magical tattoos, expanded rules, so many puzzles that you're also going to be adding. I mean, this is kind of similar to what we've seen with the different D&D books, like, oh my gosh, what is the Xanthar's Guide to Everything, for example, or you've got the Mordkine's Tomb of Foes. I mean, we've got these books that just kind of add a little bit more flair, flavor, and fluff, but also you're going to be getting more options for your D&D campaigns. I'm pretty excited about this one myself. I love the art. I'm so just in love with how they've done these hardcover books. You can actually get this one on Amazon right now, hardcover for only $30. Normally listed at $50. So man, do yourself a favor. This one's coming out just around the corner. And if you're a D&D fan, you've been following us on our D&D channel or join our D&D Discord, we would love to have you join us in a game. And I'm very excited to give this one a go.
That sounds really awesome. Been really enjoying the Descent into Avarice that we've been running here lately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, I actually have two more. I almost skipped one of the biggest titles. Mostly because I'm not a personal fan of Call of Duty, but I know these games are huge. But the new Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is actually coming out on November the 13th. And so this is the latest and greatest from the Call of Duty crew, and I mean I think they all look fantastic, and this one doesn't hold back at all. Being the Cold War, I like that era of warfare and how I don't know. It's almost like they got good music normally, the '70s, and the '80s, and I think I would probably like this atmosphere. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan, so I don't know if I'll be buying this, but it is coming out on all the systems: PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox X, and on Windows PC. And so you can pretty much pick this up on any system that you want. And obviously it has multiplayer because that's the main draw to these games. But it does also have a single player campaign. I haven't honestly done much research into how much is there, but I do know that you get to go to East Berlin, Vietnam, and Turkey during the story mode. So it looks like it's going to have quite a bit of story there if you're going to at least 3 different areas. I don't know how many hours that it's going to focus on, but typically these games usually have about a 10-hour single player story or so, with my previous experience from Battlefield and Call of Duty. So, and that's always a nice addition. But most of the reason we buy these games are for multiplayer. Now, Will, it's been a long time since we played a Call of Duty. What do you think? You have any interest in this at all?
I prefer the Battlefield series to Call of Duty. However, if I can get this one on the cheap, I'd probably pick it up.
The thing about multiplayer games like these, where it's competitive, you want to play at the beginning where everybody's a noob. I mean,
Hmm.
that's when it's the most fun. I mean, so
When you suck just like everybody else.
real right, because you have those people that have done nothing but play these games and they get really good and they know all the little places to hide and yeah. Anyways, uh,
Right.
that's always the most fun. I think I'll be skipping this one, but I know a lot of people love it, and I definitely respect the Call of Duty franchise because it's done a lot of great things.
Absolutely. So I've got another one to talk about here. This one is from Dire Wolf and Legendary Pictures, actually. There is a new hot movie that's going to be coming out soon, and that is Dune. I think if anybody is a fan of Frank Herbert, you're definitely going to know this series if you're a fan of sci-fi at all. And they have a new game coming out from Dire Wolf that has elements of deck building as well as worker placement, and I am very excited. It's called Dune Imperium. The game looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got to be better than the Dune from Gale Force 9 that was released last year. That game was just a reimplementation of an 80s board game that had people clamoring at the bits for a reprint, and I honestly could not tell you why. in my opinion, it just wasn't that great of a game. And I love Dune, and that's the problem is I really wanted that game to be good. I wanted the action, the combat, I wanted it to feel epic, and fight just ended up being, oh, okay, where did you spend your dial and how many guys did you want to lose? I'm very excited to give this one a go. I don't have an exact release date, but right now you can pre-order for only $50 on places such as Miniature Market. So not a bad price. I love Dune, and I think if you do, you're going to like this game as well. Based on what I'm reading and the videos I watched, you can see a how to play currently on Watch Played with Rodney Smith, and yeah, Dune Imperium.
All right, last up to finish up the podcast, we have Yakuza Like a Dragon. So this is a pretty popular series that's recently been brought over here to North America. I played a couple of them, and I really enjoyed them, but it kind of hit that weird. It's a single player game, and this would definitely be on my list of one to play. But that list is so huge at this point, it may never happen. But I did enjoy the game. I know a lot of people love these games. Really popular over in Japan, and this one actually released January the 16th on the PlayStation 4 over there. It's being brought over here on November the 10th for the Xbox Series 1 and everything else. And it's coming to PlayStation 5, but not until March 2nd of 21. So it's a little ways out on that one. So if you're into these type of games, I know they're really popular, and I did have fun with the one I played, but just not really my type of game. Will, have you ever played any of the Yakuza series?
I have not.
Yeah, it's the different style. It's definitely it's a Japanese game basically, and it's got that flair. And a lot of people either love it or hate it, and I was okay with it. I had fun. The story seemed decent in the one I played, but again, just not really in love with that. But all right, that wraps it up for me. Will, you got anything else?
I've got one more game I want to bring to everybody's attention. If you are a fan of Magic the Gathering, fan of those two-player card games, I think you should really check out a game that is coming back out. This one was from Plaid Hat Game, or excuse me, is from Plaid Hat Games, designed by Isaac Vega. It's called Ashes Reborn. Now, Ashes came out several years ago. Beautiful artwork, probably some of the best I have ever seen, with gameplay that was fun, back and forth. Felt like you were casting these spells, putting these creatures out, but it just never had the staying power in my area. Now, I'm very intrigued by what changes they've made for this 1.5 version. It did come back out to this crowdfunding type thing where if people pre-ordered enough copies, they would re-release the game, kind of like on this print on demand. But it is currently on Miniature Market. You can get the base set right now for $40 pre-order. Looks like it's going to be coming out this month. So be sure to check that out. It's called Ashes Reborn: Rise of the Phoenixborn Master.
All right, everybody, thanks for checking out our podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow or like button. But most importantly, have yourself a great day.